Bill Ford has come out and said that Jim Farley is doing a great job and that it is the most talented leadership team he's ever seen. Welcome back to All Cars, y'all. I'm John, and I've got some thoughts on this. You can almost consider this a follow-up to a previous video I did where I went through just 4 of the challenges that Ford is currently working through. Specifically, they are first for recalls for 2 years in a row. They have 25% more engineers on staff. They left $2 billion in profit on the table last quarter, I believe it was, and that they are going to have to get the ship rightened a little bit. And this is on top of some other things that many of you who have commented on that video have talked about, the absolute train wreck that is Ford engines recently. And I think it goes a lot deeper than that, but I understand why Bill Ford said what he said. So Ford's quote actually is that Farley is a fantastic CEO and that this is the best leadership team in my memory. We've got plenty of resources to get done what we need to get done, and now we have to execute. Now keep in mind that Bill Ford, great-grandson of Henry Ford himself, was CEO for a while and has been with the company since 1979. So it's hard to believe that he looks at Farley and their recent performance and compares that with, say, what Peterson did or what Mullally did, and says that Farley's doing the best. Now, I understand why he came out and said this, that the other part of the quote at the beginning is, we probably had so much focus on the future that perhaps we took our eye off the ball a little bit on the present. Yeah. Okay, so to me this sounds like a head coach whose quarterback had a bad game, and afterward he comes out and he says, that's our guy, we're sticking with him. So it's a vote of confidence. You can basically stop there if you really want to. Bill said this as a vote of confidence for the leadership team and the steps that Farley has taken. Now previously Farley has brought in a quality czar, that's not his actual title, but a quality guy to kind of get the ship righted. So they've already been working on that. But the bad news keeps rolling in, and it predates this by several years. This is not a problem that suddenly just arose. This has been building for a long time. Now that can't all be laid at Farley's feet. He's only been there since October 2020, so many of these issues predate him, and he's having to come back and fix them now. But it looks like he came on board and focused on the future without really recognizing what was going on in the past and the designs they were doing. And so this focus on the Mach-E, on the Ford F-150 electric, rolling out new models like the Bronco and the Bronco Sport and things like that, they really haven't been taking care of some issues that seem to have been brewing for a while. Consider just a few things. First off, like I said, so many of you have commented about the absolute train wreck that is some of their engines. The EcoBoom is what one person called the EcoBoost engines, and the real failures in design they've had recently. The escape was replaced with something that looked like a melted bar of soap, and they had to go back and do a mid-cycle refresh to it to hopefully get its sales back up, but they turned it into the Bronco Sport that's pretty okay. The new Explorer, new chassis, rear-wheel drive, should have been a hit, but felt like it was underdeveloped, and compared to, say, what Kia and Hyundai have out there, it's just not nearly as nice. And all of their products come across a little expensive once you get some pretty desirable options on them. And they've been taking content or quality out of the interiors as well. I think they've really stepped up their style game. I've talked about that before, but the materials they're using on the interior do not typically feel upscale or maybe even competitive in their class. And this is in addition to their overall durability has been falling. Both J.D. Power and Consumer Reports have noted that Ford is below average in durability and falling. This has been brewing for a while. And to me it feels like Farley kind of drug his feet to address the problem. I mean, we have history of what the problems were at Ford, but he was in power for about a year and a half. He announced a reorganization plan, and then he brought in Josh Halliburton, who is the executive director of quality. And they believe they're going to start seeing some of his effects. I do like him. I like his approach to it. It feels very no nonsense. In fact, a quote from him here says, "We've got a history of, we spend a lot of time figuring out who is to blame. Is it a supplier issue? Is it a manufacturing issue? Is it a design issue? I no longer care who caused the issue. What I've told the team is they are all responsible for the same target, whether you're a supplier quality person, whether you're a product development person, or whether you're a manufacturing person." So finally, it feels like maybe putting quality as job one instead of sitting behind the scenes creating spreadsheets of where the problem may have come from. You need that information, but just get it done. I like that attitude, as a matter of fact. And so Farley, to me, feels like he kind of drug his feet to get here. He's let some problems stew, and while he's been focusing on future products, but even those leave me a little cool. I've mentioned it before, and I get some pushback on this, but when you look at GM, I think they're doing a great job with their Ultimum platform. They've developed a platform. It's highly flexible for a variety of uses in a variety of cars of different sizes and weight classes, and it's got controls down to the actual pack level in the whole battery pack, so you can switch and mix and match as technologies and chemistries change. They've been doing a lot of talk about this, and if they deliver on their promises, big question from GM there, but if they can deliver on it, they've got an incredibly flexible platform that they've been advertising for a couple of years. Now, Ford has developed the Mach-E and the F-150. Where's the excitement there? I mean, sure, that's a couple of products, but what's their plan moving forward other than saying, oh, we're going to have a certain percentage of our cars be EVs by a certain date? Where's it coming from? Now, this quote from Bill Ford actually came at an event when they were kicking off a brand new battery factory up in Michigan, I believe it was. And he was on one side talking to reporters, and this is where that quote came from, that he has the full faith in Farley, that they are putting on, quote, a full court press to address their issues. And I like that, and I understand why he's doing it. Again, throwing his weight, throwing his confidence behind a guy who's been on the job for basically two and a half years now. So I like to hear that, because Ford's got a long way to go. And I remember when Ford quality was job one, maybe they didn't always live up to it. But as I've said on the channel, the Fords that we've had since 1986 have all been fantastically reliable so far, knock on wood. And I want them to get back to that, because what I hear here, what I read every day, and what I see in your comments is a company that people feel like they've abandoned what works for chasing something new and not developing it to a point that it's reliable. At the same time, it feels to me they're decontenting the quality of some of their interiors and not fully developing their platforms and ending up with a lineup of products that are selling okay. They have a lot of profit they could be making, but is it really exciting anyone outside of those few products? And even like the Maverick, I really want to harp on this for a minute, because I love the Maverick and I don't care about its cheap interior. I think it perfectly fits with the character of the car. But you develop a low-cost product that surprises everybody with how affordable it is, but then you don't make it because of supply chain constraints. Well, now those are being loosened up. Where's the second factory? Where's the ramp up in production? Well, where's the incentive for them to go sell more of those when they've got, say, that F-150 out there? It's a great product that probably was designed to meet some cafe standards for fuel economy, but they could sell a ton of these things. They're just not making them. So Ford's got a lot of work to do. I appreciate that Bill Ford has said that Farley has his confidence and that Farley's the right guy and they have a fantastic leadership team, but it doesn't feel like it from the outside. I think the next 2 years probably will be very interesting to see what happens with their recalls and their reliability and their durability, their dependability in studies. I think it's going to definitely improve because they almost have nowhere to go but up from here. But I don't really believe Bill Ford. Again, if you look at the list of CEOs since 1980, when Bill was part of the company, you've got two guys who guided the company through the tumultuous 80s and the onslaught of the Japanese manufacturers, You've got Nasser, who was, well, did his darndest to drive the company into the ground, and then you've got Muali before that really was exceptional, in my opinion, before he retired in 2014. I think that Farley is certainly the best since Muali, but we've got a ways to go to see if he's actually going to get the ship right, stop focusing on the future and future products and eking out every drop of profit, and build Ford up to a quality manufacturer that's respected. Again, let me know your thoughts below, guys. Thanks for being here.